What's going on, ladies and gents? Randy here with RTS Mobile Gaming, bringing you an absolutely phenomenal video today. We are playing The Lord of the Rings Rise to War, and in today's video we are talking about the upcoming Season 3 that's coming out the next 12 to 15 hours, and we are talking about the two new factions, the Gundabad and the Variag factions. We will be talking about the pluses and minuses for both of those factions and helping you make an educated decision today in order to start your Season 3, or if you are starting your Season 3 in 8 days and you're with the next wave, this will give you a few days to think about your decision and your life choices. So here we go. Get excited, ladies and gents. First things first, we'll start with the Gundabad, alright? The Gundabads, of course, will be nestled over here in the existing Gundabad region, okay? You will be basically spawning, I imagine, in this entire area between Ford Wraith and Gundabad, and maybe a little bit of spawn overflow down into Tar and Arath. It remains to be seen how far down the devs will have you guys spawning if you are Gundabad, because typically this Tar and Arath area is a neutral zone that is actually full of fantastic food resources. So there's a lot of food and wood in Tar and Arath, right? And of course you will be sharing that area with the elves, who you'll either have to kill or make friends with, okay? Lothlorien elves will be located there. All right, so get excited, right? I circled Erebor too. That's actually Dwarven country, but yeah, the Lothlorien elves get this region, right? They get some of these other regions down here, right? So the Lothlorien elves will be kind of sharing multiple areas with you, right? They start in these kind of areas up here. So be aware of that. If you are starting as Gundabad, you will be bordering on Angmar, and Lothlorien elves will be on one side and the other side, all right? The nice thing about being Gundabad is, while you're also close to those good resources, Gundabad itself has phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal deposits of iron and stone, okay? Not quite as good as the dwarves, and I realize this area of the map I'm in right now isn't demonstrating my point very well. But the farther up north you go, the more, and into Ford Wraith and places like that, you have fantastic, just massive amounts of 200 and 230 tile iron and stone. Okay, just phenomenal iron and stone up in here. So you won't be hungry for stone, which is super duper important early in the game. Stone and food, of course, being the two most important resources early game. So having access to good stone will help you level quickly. Having access to nearby fantastic food resources in Tar and Arath and in the Elven territories, lots of food and wood there, that will help you grow as you start to expand your territories, okay? So that's the geological argument for going Gundabad, right? The next is Gundabad is almost a natural ally for Angmar, right? They're both evil factions. They're both surrounded by a bunch of good factions, so you're probably going to be able to buddy up really quickly with your Angmar friends and protect each other's backs. That way you're not watching, 10 borders, you're only watching a few. So I would plan, if you are going to go Gundabad, to try and make friends with Angmar and immediately kill Lothlorien. Don't let the Lothlorien take the food territories away from you. You need to get in there hot and heavy, okay? So that's the Gundabad. Then we have the Tier 4 Gundabad units here. Check these suckers out, right? We have the Warlords. They're absolutely fantastic. These things deal massive amounts of damage. They are orc units. They're going to be absolutely stellar with commanders like Gorbag and Gothmog. They're going to be absolutely dynamite. Their damage per command, their physical damage per command is absolutely astronomical, especially against mixed layered armies. So armies that have melee and range units, the Warlords will absolutely decimate them with their shove ability and their defense penetration, okay? So that is the analysis for Gundabad. I love Gundabad. And let me just say, by the way, I am sending one of my main characters to Gundabad, one of my main characters to Variag, and one of my main characters to Gondor, okay? So I have 3 characters, and that's where they're going, all right? So I'm giving you though I convinced myself with this logic, all right? Hopefully I'm not wrong, okay? So the next faction we're talking about is the Variags, okay? The Variags are going to be down here in the down here in the Khan regions, which have historically been an overflow region for Mordor. When I played Mordor in Season 1, I actually spawned over here in Northern Con. I was spawned right around there, pretty close to the crossing, pretty far to the southeast corner of the map. So it'll be interesting to see how they're able to consolidate the Mordor factions spawn into this Sea of Nirn and Epith Dual and Nirn region. And I'm expecting the Condians, whatever you call them, to basically be down in this whole area right here, southern and northern Khand, okay? The nice thing about this is right over here, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mumakils. We have, and that's a neutral area, so there's nobody in here. This is neutral, so there's nobody in here. This is neutral, so there's nobody in there. And guess what? There is Mumakils here and here. So you will have relatively easy access to Mumakils and phenomenal resources, okay, as the Variag faction. So the starting area back here is actually really terrible in resources. It's very, very barren. One of my biggest struggles as Mordor in Season 1 was there really wasn't very many 200 power tiles. Enormous amounts of 130s and 150s, but as you can see, I'm literally having trouble finding a lot of 200s. It's empty. It's a barren wasteland. So if you're spawning here, you may struggle with resources for the first few days, but fear not, because as you push into Southern Khand, the resources get a little bit better, and as you push into near Harad here, the neutral zone, the resources continue to get better and better and more consistent, in addition to having the Mumakils, okay? And then, of course, Harandor and the resource island here, one of the most valuable pieces of real estate in the game, right? There's actually Mumakils on this island. So if you capture this island, you can hold several Mumakil camps, and you have access to an enormous number of resource tiles. Really the best location for resources in the absolute game, okay? There's everything. There's big old clusters of food, right? There's big old, look at this, big old clusters of food, big old clusters of wood, big old clusters of 230, 260, 300 power stone. I mean, look at that. There's a 260. We got a bunch of 300s. There's so many resources on this little island here that if you can get to it first before Gondor or Isengard can push over to there, you'll have access to Mumakils and fantastic resources. So from a geological standpoint, I'm going to go ahead and say that the Variag faction is will be slightly slower start and slightly worse resource position early on in the game compared to the Variag. The Variags will be slightly worse resource early on in the game compared to Gundabad. Yeah, let me correct that. It's a very terrible region for resources. This whole area is very barren, okay? But I will also say, since you're bordering on an evil faction, not that Mordor is going to let you in, but if you do happen to get in to this Upper Nirn area, there is a phenomenal amount of food, absolutely amazing amount of food and wood up there. Very strong. So Mordor may benefit from no longer spawning in the northern Khand area. If they're all spawning in good resources, Mordor might be a good place to go for resources this season, guys. Just jump there so you can see. I didn't jump to a great location, but there is a lot of food and wood up here in this area. Okay, this Nirn area up there. Okay, pushing up into the eastern wastes, of course, gets a little more barren, and then decent resources up in the plains. Okay, so those are the two geographical locations. Let's talk about the tier 4 for the Variags. Okay, these guys are absolutely insane. In fact, they are the unit. I'm just pulling them up. The champion tier 4 Evil Man Cavalry are the most exciting unit in the game for me right now. I cannot stress this enough, guys. The ability to debuff the enemy highest tier troop. And by the way, they have 145 speed, so they will hit faster than most other tier 4 troops, okay? So if you're fighting against enemy tier 4 massive nukers, you're going to be able to cut their huevos off, put them in a mason jar, put them up on top of the fridge where my wife keeps mine, okay? So I'll leave a spot for the for yours. But honestly, I mean, they deal decent damage. They have 35 to 38 base damage range, which is actually pretty good for cavalry when you think about Fallen's 30 to 40. This is 35 to 38. It's a tighter damage range. They don't have the 60% damage bonus that the Fallen has, I know. But what they do have is they're going to reduce enemy damage by 50%. So if you're fighting champions against a march of Fallen, like my Theoden Retaliate Fallen build, these Variag champions will hard counter any massive tier 4 damage stack. It's going to literally reduce the damage by 50%, okay? Now, the only downside is, since the champions are faster than most of the units they'll be debuffing, the debuff will not refresh itself on the following turn. When they go to apply it on the following turn, if the other units are slower, now this is where speed strategy comes into play, right? Maybe you don't put any speed gear on and you hope and pray you're fighting against somebody with speed gear. But if you're fighting against, non-cavalry T4, for sure, you'll be faster and your damage debuff will apply every other round, right? Because it won't override itself. It'll say, there's already a stronger debuff in play here. Please try again. You do not pass go and collect $200. This is not Monopoly. Okay, so that's the one thing to note. But still insane when you think about it. If you're going to debuff the enemy for 5 or 6 out of the 10 rounds here, and they're going to deal 50% damage, that's basically like averaged over the five different rounds over 10 rounds. That's looking at a 25% reduced damage dealt by the enemy tier 4 if you're faster than them. Okay, so guys, I cannot stress it enough. I'm just so excited for those champions. They're so good, and they're pretty tanky. 90 HP, 50 defense. I mean, they're decently tanky. And they have fantastic speed and abilities, okay? So that's my analysis. I know I spoke a very long time about these Variag champions. I'm super excited. If you can't tell, I mean, I'm sending my main Variag, guys. That's where I'm going. The main's going to Variag. I don't know who else is going. I don't care. I want these frickin' units. I'm sending Leia. Probably is going to go to either Gondor or Gundabad, and then my third account that no one knows about yet that I'll probably introduce to people in this season. It's been my keep it secret, keep it safe account. That one is going to be going to either Gundabad or Gondor, whichever one Leia doesn't go. So those are the three factions I'm going in Season 3. Those are my logic behind them. Hopefully this helps you decide. I love you all a long time. Give me the like and sub and join the Forge Discord down in my link below. Randy out.